They running their mouth, then they looking for trouble. Ran right up in the knowledge, now they back in the huddle. See, they know we can fight, new content every week. Me and Dr. Clyde, keep on bringing the heat. Now they know they were driven, and they know we ain't quitting. Yoshi and Dr. Winner, keep on bringing the energy. Unity. See, they know we ain't stopping, and they know they got problems, and they ran out of options. If you know we got a problem, can't let it go unsolved. Bring back learning, Afrocentric history, we see tomorrow. Karma's karma, I say what I say, I hear underwater. Till I see I fall off, then I bring y'all up on note. I'm back up on my Clyde winners, 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 Clyde winners. Divine winters, Clyde winters, mind bender, Clyde winters. I'm Richard, ride with ya, master teacher, create masters, Clyde winters. Give respect to the elder, Clyde winters. I feeling somebody out there living for me. Yeah, I told you somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me.
We have to live by God. We have to live by God. I have not done wrong. I have not robbed. I have not stolen. I have not drank. I have not told lies. I have not stolen food. I was not stolen. I have not fornicated with the fornicator. I have not caused anyone to weep. I have not dissembled. I have not transgressed. I have not discussed secrets. I have brought no lawsuits. I am not wronged. I am not struck dead. I am not transgressed the law. I have not been hunted. Except when I'm talking about on the song. I have not made extolling. I have not bragged. I have not cursed. I have not been violent. I have not confounded truth. I have not been impatient. I have not cursed against.
Dr. Winter's legacy is a testament to the power of knowledge and the unyielding spirit of exploration. His impact is felt worldwide, as he shares and enlightens at conferences, symposiums, and collaborative projects. His voice is a beacon in the academic world, challenging, inspiring, and always educating. His journey reminds us that the quest for knowledge is never-ending, and its impact is timeless. Dr. Winters teaches us to challenge the narratives and to learn with an open mind. As he always says, B1 is not a group, it's a lineage. Let his story inspire everybody to pursue knowledge relentlessly and to always seek the truth. Now let us welcome in the grandfather of research, the Trill OG himself, the Honorable Dr. Clyde Winter.
What up? What up, though? Hey, how's the family out there? How you doing, Just Eve? Chemistry Black Magic JP, Dorville. How you doing? I'm doing a late night one today. The reason I'm doing a late night one is I just wanted to talk about something. So I thought, hey, I'll just go ahead and do it. I had a class, I did a class early, my research class, but I decided I still wanted to communicate with you guys because, I mean, hell, it's just, it's no fun not talking more than once or twice a week. I know tomorrow I'm going to be with Eve, so I want you guys to join me tomorrow night. But tonight, I want to talk a little bit about, our Aboriginal, the Black Aboriginals. The point is that, really what made me want to do this is Yoshi Mod. Yoshi Mod made some beautiful videos. These videos are so beautiful that he just I just been enthralled with them, and they made me really in a sense want to really play them, and I think they relate a lot to me, our African culture, and as a result, it makes me want to really share these with you. So what I'm going to do right now is I want to share one of them with you, and let's see, boom.
Yoko came off the old farm. E-I-E-I-O-E-O song. Training the wheel until it's all gone. Gotta go deeper, dive with the people. Some turn lethal, neighbors is evil. Go for the right, give up the pain. No hear me right, kill him on sight. Many despair, many beware. I see that I'm there, I see that I'm here. Ready for flares, calling all bad. We the using, not disappears. All of my chin, deep dive. All my ears, shooting on baby hollow. Any given time, I'm baby follow. The ocean and I may be hollow. And the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm off the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die.
You know, this video, I just can't stop watching it. You know, I just can't stop watching it. And because I can't stop watching it, this is what made me have to do this presentation tonight. I'm doing this presentation tonight because, you know, it just made me start thinking about the beautiful history, you know, the beautiful history of our Aboriginal heritage. And it just made me think about the fact is that so much of who and what we are goes back to the beginning, you know. And so what I wanted to do tonight is that I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about the beginning, you know, where we came from, how we became who and what we are, and go back to this imagery and see that's the beauty of the video that Yoshimod made. And again, with you guys, how you doing, Leah Slimway and Demetria Shepard, Jalen Prasad? Why don't you guys would you put in the chat? Congratulations, JP. She graduated from university. What up, though? Yay! Put congratulations in the chat, please, for JP. We're proud of you. We're very proud of you, young lady. And you know, you got to keep on going and keep on pushing, because we know that you're going to make exciting things in the future for all of us. So make sure, in the sense that you guys offer, you know, JP, your congratulations. So again, like I said, that video it's just mind-boggling. It's so mind-boggling because the fact is that he put so much color in it. He put so much color in it, you know. He put so much, you know, so much of his heart in the video. And by seeing his heart in the video, that allows us to understand that we have to really, you know, express ourselves. And what he's done is that he's expressed himself. And I think that so that made me say that I had to turn on my light, you know, because my son he bought it for me, and he wants me to be able to show you my melanated skin. So I had to show the light or he'll get mad. But anyway, the thing is this, is that it is so much that we need to know. And I've never done really a video out of all these years of being on the internet. I've never done a video that dealt with the original people, you know, who we were, you know. And so, you know, I really feel we need to know who the first Americans was, and that's what I'm going to do tonight. So let's get into it, since I know it's pretty late. Okay. You need to know the first Americans. Go to my Patreon to see the slides. Please join my Patreon. You can you're on my channel, Clyde Winters YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. And I'm glad you guys have subscribed, because that's how you knew that I was doing this, because I didn't put out too much of this thing. And you know, join my Patreon, because I got a lot of references at the end of this video, and you'll be able to get those references if you join my Patreon. And you'll get the slides with the references. And by joining my Patreon, you allow me to do this research. And I'm very grateful to the people who are members of my Patreon. And again, subscribe and put a like on the video. You can order my books at Amazon.com. Let the researcher do the research. Yes. Let the researcher do the research. And that's the whole point. That's one of the reasons. That's what I was doing tonight when I had my research class a little earlier. But the point is this: is that it's through knowing how to do research that it makes you a better person. JP, she wrote a very fine book, and her book is on the on people in ancient Southeast Asia. She's doing that research. She's becoming prepared. So when she goes on for further education, she's going to be able to do the research and be able to master it and be able to pass on some of this knowledge of the people that we all need to know. So let the researcher do the researcher, but you too can be a researcher. You just have to try. What is FBA? FBA is not a group. FBA is not an organization. FBA is a lineage. A lineage is lineal descent from an ancestry, or pedigree. As a result, we are descendants of the African and Aboriginal blacks who built the United States. B1 is acknowledging your Black African ancestry and mod, not heritage. We must be race men and women proud of our culture and African Black ancestry. Black equal brilliant. Yes, yes, yes. Dorvell, he sent me so much research on the Old English meaning of the word black, the Greek meaning of the word black, and what he showed me is that the word black in Old English, in Latin, and Greek, it meant in a sense not just black, but also brilliant. Brilliant, yes, yes. Black equal brilliant, shining. And so what does that mean? That means when you're B1, you're not just black first, you're also brilliant first. So you're black and brilliant. Very important to remember this fact. Don't let it be lost on you. They're not like us. No, they're not like us. They're not like us. The whole point is this: they're not like us. We love ourselves. We love our people. Those other folks, they're not like us because they don't love themselves. They don't love them people. They don't want to know the truth. And because they don't want to know the truth, they'd rather be lost in a lie. But that's not us. You can check out the Aboriginal FBA and Black History Gems Volume 1. Check it out. You can also find out about the Paleo-Americans and the history of blacks in America from prehistory to 1877. You can order it at Amazon.com. Other books that deal with the history of the Black Aboriginals is the Phylogeography of Afro-Americans and Africans. The Phylogeography of Afro-Americans and Africans is where I discuss our actual, genetic origins, the genes that we carry, so you won't be confused, You can get my book, We're Not Just Africans, the Black Native Americans. In my book, We're Not Just Africans, the Black Native Americans. What I do is I discuss the relationship between the Aboriginal blacks and sub-Saharan Africans. Get this book if you want to know about that. And these are some of my other books: Atlantis in Mexico, African Empires in Ancient America, Ancient Scripts in South America, the Mandean Ancient America, the Black Mound Builders of America. Order these books. Get all these books so you'll be familiar with all aspects of the history of blacks in the Americas. Order these books. The scholars who proved the Olmecs were Africans were who? May rest in power. David Imhotep, Ivan Van Sertima, of course, your good old granddad, your grandfather research, Clyde Winners. Yes, we are the ones who've been proving that the Olmecs were Africans, that black people, in a sense, were the first people to inhabit America. But tonight, family, we don't want to talk about the Olmecs. We don't want to talk about the early methods. What we want to do is we want to go back. We want to go way back in the jungle, way back. Not 1,000, not 2,000, but 10, 20, 30,000 years ago. We want to talk about the original Americans, the first Americans. You need to know who they were. See, it was so many African groups, so many African groups. And in my book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginal Americans, you got to get this book, because in this book, it is over 400 pages long. It's like an encyclopedia. If you get the hardback edition of History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals, it includes an index. That means you can go to that index and it'll tell you where you can find specific information on the blacks, the Aboriginals' religion, the culture, the pyramids they built, the mounds they built. You know, get this book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals. As you can see, it is so many. It was so many black tribes. There's thousands of them. Hundreds of them. And thousands. And there was just so many black people that were Aboriginals. But the point is this: is that these were the Aboriginals that the European met when he came on this coast. One of my students in my research class, they wanted to do a paper. They wanted to do a paper on the Black Aboriginals, and I told them that would be a good idea. But to do a paper on the Black Aboriginals, you would first of all I had to get my book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginal Americans. But the point is this: is that you have to go and read all these travel documents. You have to read all these books written by the colonists and the settlers who met these people, who describe these people as being black, being dark, copper colored. Because see, the only way that I know that they were black is that they were described as phenotypically black people. This is how I knew they were black. But to do that research, you had to read all these documents by the colonizers and settlers, because the only book that really discusses, the only book that really provides a history, an encyclopedia of Black Aboriginals, this is my book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals. Get the hardback edition. It has an index, and you can find out everything you want to know about many other black tribes. I don't have all the black tribes. I got in there maybe about 100, but it was thousands of them. So many black tribes. Right here is the Blackfeet. And today they say it's no Blackfeet in the United States. If you try to look up the Blackfeet today, they'd say that Blackfeet are only in Canada. That's a lie. It's Blackfeet throughout Virginia and North Carolina and other parts of the South. But this is what they teach you. But that's just the lies, because they wanted to write us out of history. They wanted to make you feel in the sense that you're a stranger in your own land. They want to make you feel in the sense that you don't belong here. But you do belong here. Our ancestors are the Black Aboriginals, the Black Irish, and the Sub-Saharan Africans who were made chattel slaves. I'm not talking about no indenture. See, Dane Calloway, he always said, oh, the Aboriginal blacks, they were indentured servants. Oh, no, they made them chattel slaves because they were made chattel slaves after they lost wars with the Europeans. When they fought the settlers, when the settlers conquered them, they made them slaves to pick their tobacco. Yes, to pick their tobacco, to grow their rice. You see, here's this is in one of the earlier books that they wrote on the Americans. This is number 569 and 570. What is the third race and what are its characteristics? The American or Indian race found only in America is of a deep copper color, straight black hair, high cheekbones, eyes black and sunken, large faces and robust bodies. Now let's look at the fourth race. What is the fourth race? Oh, the African or Negro race. They have a jet black skin, low narrow forehead, black woolly hair, thick lips, low heels. Look at them. They look exactly alike. The only difference is they put some feathers in the so-called American's head, and the brother no feathers. See, this is just the ish that they do. This is the ish that do the Europeans. They want you, in a sense, to divide, to be through division, divide and rule. That's how they took over America. That's how they took over Africa, by divide and rule. This is the same damn person, but they want you to see a difference. And now today they don't even show these people. Show his image as an American. The American today is the red man. See, but those are just pretend. They're Indians in a way, but they're not the originals. We're going to talk about the originals tonight. You want to know what? You need to know who the original Americans were, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Alphonse de Quatrefages claimed that the black tribes of Latin America include the Choco, the Manabis, the Auroras, the Guarani, the Charros, the Yamasi, and the Citadel, the Chantal, in addition to numerous ethnic groups along the Orinoco River in Venezuela and the Isthmus of Darien. The major Native American confederations were made up of black and Mongoloid Native Americans. These confederations include the Iroquois, the Muskogean, and the Algonquin. Those were not tribes, these were confederations. But what happened is, in a sense, the original confederations were the black Indians. But then later, in a sense, the European said the black Indians were no longer existed and just put red Indians like the Ojibwa, the Lenape, and others in a sense, so they could lie, you see. But the point is this, is that's why you had to do original research. Oglethorpe returned to England in June 74 with goodwill ambassadors. And look here, you can see the little boy and the black Indians that they took to England to show who and what they were. Some of the Aboriginal black tribes were the Blackfeet, the Cree, the Choctaw, the Costanoan, the Kashida, the Guachi, the Lenape, the Mandan, the Manican, Mendinka, Nanaco, Narragansett, Nodawesti, Neatis, the Oclonis, the Potawatomi, the Pequot, the Ramapo, the Shinnecock, the Seneca, the Seminoles, the Sicolin, the Tamacra, the Sayaha, the Tuscarora, the Wananap, the Washita, the Yamasis, the Yamakro, the Yuchi. See, these are just some of the various black Native American tribes, see? Most of these tribes, in a sense, today, you take the Seminoles, for instance, most of the Seminoles were black, but if you go down to Florida today, it'll be a red man as the Seminole. Oh, really? You see? There's a few Pequots around. We know the Shinnecock. They used to live in New York City. One of the rappers was a Shinnecock, but you wouldn't believe that because they stole our heritage and they gave our heritage to the red man. But the red man is not the original Indian. The red man was not here first. That's why you here. You need to know who the real originals was. The basic organizing principle for black Native Americans was the tribe. The black Native American tribe would then organize themselves into confederations to meet threats from enemy Indian tribes and Europeans. These confederations were made up of black and Mongoloid Native Americans in many cases. For example, the Iroquois were actually not a people, but a confederation of 8 Native American nations: the Cayugas, the Manican, the Mohawk, Nanaco, Seneca, Oneida, Onondaga, Tuscarora. See? Then, in a sense, you also had, in a sense, the Algonquin. Those, in a sense, were, those were black tribes originally. See? The most formidable Native American group in North America and the most represented in the imagination of the European settlers controlling that zenith territory, covering Massachusetts to Ohio and Quebec and Ontario to Kentucky. Yes. These were black Indian tribes. But today they tell you that these were red men. They weren't red men, they were black men. What happened is that the European, in a sense, he would take their heritage. He would stop calling, in a sense, the Aboriginal black people by their nationality. He would just refer to them as colored people. You've been taught in your school that the colored people was free slaves. No, the colored people was the name the European gave the Aboriginal blacks once they took their land away from them. Let the researcher do the research. Do the research. Buy my books. Then you'll know more about our history. We use iconographic evidence in addition to skeletal remains and eyewitness accounts. That's the only way that you know they were black. You had to, in a sense, look at the skeletal remains. You had to look at eyewitness accounts. If you don't look at the skeletal remains, the skeletons found in the mounds, or if you don't look at eyewitness accounts, you would think that no black people existed as Aboriginals. But they were. Here's some pictures of some of the various Aboriginal groups. But they'll tell you today, oh, those are no Aboriginals. Where's your card? Where's your card that you got from the Bureau of Indian Affairs? That card says that you are a Native American. Yes, the card says you're a Native American, but they don't have cards saying you're Aboriginal because They only want to believe that Aboriginals were not anything because all black people were slaves. Yes, many of the Aboriginals were slaves. They were chattel slaves. But the point is this, is that that doesn't mean that because you're black, you couldn't be also an Indian. You couldn't also, in a sense, because Indian comes from where, oh, they say Indian is a bad word. No, Indian comes from the fact is that when the European came over here, he found those black people in the Caribbean, and he said they look like the people in South India who are black. They're black. They must be Indian. That's why you can call yourself Indian, because it just means black. See, know your history. Buy my books. It's very important to understand, in a sense, the earliest person to write on the Paleo-Americans was Nide Guidan. Nide Guidan is an archaeologist down in Brazil. You know, she found, in the sense, that the Paleo-Americans are phenotypically African, Melanesian, or Australian. Why she say that they were phenotypically African, Melanesian, or Australian? Because the people in Melanesia, the people in Australia, all look the same. They all have phenotypically black features. You know what Nida Guidan found is that she found that in Brazil, that man had been in Brazil 100,000 years. And she said that those people in Brazil had come from Africa. Why you're saying that she think they came from Africa? Remember, Africa, West Africa and Brazil is only 1,200 miles away from each other. 1,200 miles. 1,200 miles. What is that? That's less than driving from Chicago down to Miami. Yes. And back in the day, the African people had boats, and the boats had oars. Here's some of the Paleo-Americans that they reconstructed. And what they do is that forensic anthropologists, what they do is that they can get your skull, and then they can put clay on the skull, and they can reconstruct how those people look based upon their craniums, their skulls. You see, it mainly began as forensic scientists when they would find a dead body, and they would go and find a physical anthropologist, a forensic anthropologist to reconstruct, the person who had been murdered, and that's how they do it. And so they also did that for the skeletons of some of the ancient people. Here we have Naia, and we have Apuna, and we have Luzia. Naia, she was the most ancient skeleton found, one of the ancient skeletons found in Mexico. Apuna, he was in Brazil, and then we have Luzia. Luzia was from Brazil. Now they're trying to make Luzia look more whitish. And what they did is that they burned down the museum where the original Luzia bones were found. And, as usual, Europeans, white folks, Brazil is full of nothing but ex-Nazis. So they're trying to rewrite history so that you won't know the truth. See, but you can't hide the truth. Here's some of the Paleo-Americans identified as Negro Black. Here we have Naia, Apuna man, Luzia, and then we have Kennewick man. Yes, Kennewick man. These are some of the Paleo-Americans based upon skeletal remains that are, some of them over 10,000 years old. The Salutrians went from Africa to Europe. Yes. We find that one of the earliest cultures of the Paleo-Americans was the Salutrian culture. And the Salutrian culture was found in Virginia, and some of those sites, they go back about 20,000 years ago. And the Salutrian culture, which was found in the Americas, originated in Africa. Salutrian culture originated in South Africa and was spread to North Africa and later Europe and America. This is we know in a sense that man couldn't have come, from Asia, because of the fact that the Ice Age. You can look at this map and see the ice. The ice would have cut off anybody trying to, in a sense, walk from Asia into the Americas. Not only would it have stopped people from walking into the Americas, it also would have been just about impossible to ride a boat, because eventually, in a sense, once you got past the moderate climate areas, you're going to run into nothing but ice, and you couldn't last in a boat trying to go to Europe or during the Ice Age. So the only way that you could get to the Americas, the people had to come from Africa. And we know in the sense that the Solutrean culture that's been found in the Americas, it began in South Africa. The Khoisan took the Solutrean culture, Hottentots, that's what the Europeans call them, you know. They took the Solutrean culture into Europe, and they also brought the Solutrean culture to the Americas. Many researchers recognize that the Solutrean culture of Iberia probably originated in Africa. It is the mainstream view of Spanish prehistorians that the Solutrean culture did originate in Africa. Bolle and Velas and Fossil Man know that ancient toolkits found in South African burials along the coast are associated with the Solutrean industry. Yes, these were, as you can see, here we see a comparison of the Grimaldi and the Khoisan woman, Khoisan. And as you can see in a sense, it's good representation. And it was these people in South Africa that the archaeologists believe, you know, made the Solutrean culture. You see, you need to know who the first Americans were, because the first Americans were the same anatomically modern humans who settled Europe, which would have been the Khoisan. The pottery tradition was taken to Europe and America by Africans. The oldest North American culture is the Clovis culture, you see. But there is no archaeological evidence to situate the Clovis people in Siberia. No. Dennis Stanford and Bruce Bradley in Across Atlantic Ice, The Origin of America's Clovis Culture, maintained that sites dating between 25,000 to 13,000 years ago, namely the offshore Sinmar site, the Meadowcraft Rock Shelter in Pennsylvania, the Oster Cove on the Chesapeake Bay, the Cactus Hill in Virginia, and the Miles Point site. Yes. All of these sites have tools that are not found in Siberia. That's right. See, if these traditions came from Asia, you'd find the tools in in Siberia, but they don't find these tools in Siberia. But archaeologists did find these tools where? In South Africa and North Africa. See, you know, and they also found some in Europe. But we know that the people couldn't have brought the Solutrean tools to America from Europe, because how could they go along the coast and then go all the way up into the northern region, and they would have ran into all that ice. And you see how hard it is today for modern ships to get through that frozen ice around the Arctic. So just think about those people back in the day trying to get through the ice to get to America in a canoe, you know, using in a sense oars. They couldn't have made it, but they could sail 1,200 miles from West Africa to Brazil, and they could be in their canoes, and they can row the boat, row the boat. That's another story. Today, archaeologists have found sites from Canada to Chile that range between 20,000 and 65,000 years old. You know, there are numerous sites in North and South America which are over 35,000 years old. We already talked about it with Nieda. These sites are the Old Crow Basin, 38,000 BC in Canada, the Oronge Cave, 36,000 BC in the United States, the Pedra Furada, 45,000 BC in Brazil. Given the fact that the earliest dates for habitation of the American continent occur below Canada and South America, is highly subjective of the fact that the earliest settlers on the American continent came from Africa before the ice melted at the Beringa Straits. And you saw how the people looked. Yes, you saw those people look. They look like you. They look like me. They look like us. This is Nieda Guidan, and Nieda, Nieda Guidan, she's the archaeologist that did the research in Brazil. And just look at this map, and that it is only 1,200 miles that separate Brazil. Look at that map on the right-hand side. 1,200 miles that separate Brazil from West Africa. And back in the day, they had boats that would with oars, and they could row the boat, row your boat. Yes. See, but this is an archaeologist, and and it's very important. She says, and this is what she said: I think it is wrong that everyone came running across the Bering, chasing mammoths. That's infantile. I think they also came along the seas. Now in her 80s and mostly retired, she hasn't softened her tone at all. She currently maintains that people first arrived in South America from West Africa, perhaps, as far back as 100,000 years ago. We already gave you the sites, baby. Yes. You need to know the original people of the Americas. You need to know who the original Americans were. They were Paleo-Americans. They didn't come from Asia because they couldn't get from Asia. Some people, they say in the sense that the Aboriginals, they crossed, they in a sense got here when the continents separated. Get out of here. It wasn't no human beings when the continents separated. That was 300 million years ago. But see, people make up ish when they don't do research. Let the researcher do the research. Get some references, get some receipts. Eurocentrists love to lie about ancient American history. They burned down the museum in Brazil to get rid of the original Luzia skeleton. You see, look at these phenotypes. There's a phenotype of the Australian, of the Melanesians. Then we see the phenotype of going from left to right. We see the African. You see. Then we can see the phenotype of the Australian. As a result, the Paleo-Americans reconstruction look like this. Oh, look at them. There they are. Those are the reconstructions. Naia, Luzia, Puna man, Kenwick man. They look like you. They look like me. That's why Wedon said that they look like Melanesians, Africans, or Australians. All of them have Negroid features because the original people had Negroid features, But see, now they're trying, in a sense, they're trying to change. Down at the bottom, you can see where they're trying to make Luzia look more Caucasian looking, See? Wow. Will the white supremacists ever stop lying? They love to lie. The first Eurasians were black. The Eurasians were Khoisan. These original Eurasians carried African genes. The Malta child carried haplogroup U and R1. These are African haplogroups. The first Europeans, like the Paleo-Americans, were dark-skinned. The aDNA of the first European comes from the Ust-Ishim skeleton from Siberia. Ust-Ishim man also carried the male lineage R1. Yes. They carried the male lineage R1, just like our Paleo-American brothers. Yes, they carried R1 too. Although those haplogroups are assigned on Asian origin, Africans also carry them. They carry the M subclad, including, for example, haplogroups A and M7. Some Native Americans present sub-Saharan African admixture. The Mandi speakers carried mtDNA haplogroup A, which is common among the Mexicans, namely the Miche and the Mixtecs. In addition to the Mandi-speaking people of West Africa, Southeast Asia, and Africa also carry mtDNA A. Haplogroup M was a common Paleo-American haplogroup. Paleo-Americans carried haplogroup M. The 5,000-year-old skeleton from China Lake, British Columbia, carried the M haplogroup. This was confirmed by Mahai et al. In 2007, who found that the skeleton belonged to haplogroup M, exhibiting the allele site gain at NIP 10397. He was unable to match the China Lake skeleton MDDH haplogroup C or D, or subhaplogroup M7, M8, or M9. This whole idea that of what Native American DNA is, that's why it's all bull. Because listen, look at the top left-hand side. Naia, Apunana, Luzia, they were black. Since they were black, they carry the same genes black people carry today in Africa. See, but they want to give you this stuff saying, oh, the Native American, this is the genes they carry, the red man. But do you know what? You can't use DNA to prove that you're a red-skinned native, because they know that it's all type of DNAs that people carry. So you can't even use that. But what it is that they can give you a card, and that card that you get from the federal government, it says that you're in a sense that you're an American, that you're an original American. That card is full of ish. A lot of $5 Indians got those cards. Right now, if you do a Google search, they're gonna show you some people from Oklahoma who the leader of the Creek tribe, leader of the Choctaw, leader of the Seminoles. White people, those are $5 Indians. They're pretendians. Much of the DNA for Lucia, the 12,000-year-old skeleton from Brazil, was corrupted, but researchers have recovered aDNA from Naia. aDNA is what they call, in a sense, ancient. A stands for ancient DNA. Look at this picture on the right-hand side, left-hand side. You can see Kennewick man. You can see Pinon woman, 10,700. You can see Lucia there over Mexico. You can see Naia down in Mexico. Pinon woman, she was in Mexico too. Then you can look at Lucia, and they was found in Lagoa Santa. They're 11,500 years old. Yes, these Pale Americans go back. But the oldest skeleton in North America is Anzac Boy. Yes, Anzac Boy. The Anzac Boy skeleton was found in Montana. The Paleo-Americans belong to the Clovis culture, the same as Kennewick man. The Anzac Boy belonged to mtDNA M or D1 and Y chromosome R1. What? Let me repeat that. The Anzac Boy belonged to mtDNA M or D1 and Y chromosome R1. Hi, carrying R1. How is he carrying R1? You see, Paleo-Americans and ancient Europeans, they share the same DNA. See? Here you can look on the right-hand side, you can see Naia, and then you can see the first European. This is a Cro-Magnon man. Look at that Cro-Magnon man. He's a Khoisan. The Cro-Magnon man, he looks no different from Naia or Lucia. Look at there. The first Europeans, like the Paleo-Americans were dark skinned. The aDNA of the first European comes from the Ustium skeleton. Yes. And the male lineage was R1. Yes. So when we find R1, it's not really a surprise or a coincidence that the ancient Europeans from Malta, Isham, and Anzac would all carry the R1 Y chromosome, because they would have been in a sense people that would have carried the same genes, because we know that it was the Khoisan who took the Solutrean culture, and they carried the R1, took the Solutrean culture into North Africa, across into Iberia, and then they brought it also to the Americas. Yes. You got to get to know the first Americans, because the first Americans were the Paleo-Americans. Here you can see some Paleo-Americans. Here's Naia and Lucia. And then we can see, in a sense, the early Europeans. We see the Cro-Magnon man, and then we see the brother looking like Miles Davis. They call him Cheddar Man. Miles Davis was a jazz musician. Comparison of Anzac Boy, mtDNA matches to modern DNA. Yes. We know, in a sense, what they did is that a lot of you guys don't understand that when they analyze DNA, they don't just find just one type of DNA. They find all type of haplogroups in it. For example, in terms of Anzac Boy, they found M, M1A, M1AB, M203, C, M3. So you can see they find all these different haplogroups, but then they just decided to tell you who and what the other thing was. Haplogroup D and M1 are just about the same, as shown by the insect extractions. And this website, HTTP DNA Explained, come 2013, and took it down now because, again, I had pointed out that it was really talking about black DNA, so they took it down a few years ago. But this is what it was originally. You can still find it, but you have to go through some of the archives to really find this data. See, the Aztec boy carried the same Y DNA as ancient Europeans. Wow, isn't that interesting? But look at this. You know, the races now claim Aztec boy haplogroup is Q150L54. Haplogroup Q belongs to the P macrogroup P. Haplogroup Q descends from haplogroup P, which is also the ancestor of haplogroup R1A and R1B. Haplogroup Q quickly split into two main branches, Q1A and Q1B. So in other words, in a sense, they wanted to change. They wanted to change, in a sense, the whole idea. But even look, you know, QP36 only look at this chart. Native Americans only carry two tenths of percent, whereas Afro Americans carry 31.2%. Do you see? Do you see? They know in a sense that foundational Black Americans, they're carrying the same genes as the original, you know, Paleo Americans. And look right here. You see? Let's look at foundational Black Americans. As I told you earlier, Anzac boy, 10,000 years old, he carried Y chromosome R1, and look. 23% of foundational Black Americans carry R1B. Look at that. Look at that. You see? This shows, in a sense, that over 23% of foundational Black Americans today are carrying the same haplogroup as Anzac boy, who lived 10,000 years ago. That shows that many of us didn't come from Africa, who's already carrying the same gene that Anzac boy carried. Y chromosome R1B. See? The Kennewick Man DNA article makes it clear that Kennewick Man is recognized as a Paleo-American. Therefore, he has Negro ancestry. Kennewick Man, he carried the African haplogroup X. Yes. Kennewick Man carried the African haplogroup X. The researchers claim that Kennewick Man's DNA is mainly related to Native Americans living in South America rather than North America, except for the Colville people on the West Coast. The only problem is that the original Colville people were Black, and most of them got killed off. See, because in California, to get rid of the Indians, they put a bounty on Indian scouts. So if you killed a female scout, I think it was $8, $5 for a kid scalp, and only $3 for an adult male scalp. So you can see that they mainly wanted to get rid of those women and those children. But again, Kennewick Man, he also carried an African haplogroup, and that was a haplogroup X. Kennewick Man carried haplogroup X. American Indians carry H haplogroup. You see, and the haplogroup X skeletons come from Brazil. You know, they date to 437,000 BP before the present. So as you can see, in a sense, here we see Kennewick Man. At the bottom, we can see some of the earliest. These were the original inhabitants of California on the right-hand side. See, you know, a lot of times, a lot of the Chicanos and Latinos, they try to say that California and Arizona was all occupied by Chicanos. No, they weren't occupied by Chicanos and Latinos. The people in California were mainly Black Aboriginal tribes. We even find a Mandi tribe that was at the Four Corners, you know, the cave dwelling. So again, in a sense, the DNA shows that these Paleo-Americans not only do the skeletal remains, not only do the reconstruction of the Paleo-Americans show that the first Americans were phenotypically black, the DNA also shows that they were black. The Colville tribe, which is related to Kennewick man, was a confederation of Indians who did not die of disease or murdered by whites so they could take their land. These are some of the Colville tribe, Indian tribes. You can see how they look. Most of these people, they worked on they were on Indian reservation. You know, some of those Jesuit priests, you know, had them on at their monasteries, and you know, and a lot of them they worked them to death or killed them off. As you can see, many of these people, many of the Indians in California, at least these Indians in California, they look, many of them look like Australians. You know, many of the Australian people, look at the hairstyles and stuff like that. These people belong to the Ohlone tribe. You know, they lived on the West Coast. California Indians had various phenotypes. Here's some other pictures of the various California Indians. As you can see, they were, you know, they had various phenotypes, but again, they were basically what we would call Negro people. You know, most California Indians were exterminated. Researchers believe that Kennewick man is related to the Arikara. Here's a picture of an Arikara Indian. You know, they wrote, the researchers wrote, although our individual-based craniometric analysis confirmed that Kennewick man tends to be more similar to Polynesian and Ainu people than the Native Americans, Kennewick man's pattern of craniometric affinity falls well within the range of affinity patterns evaluated for individual Native Americans. The Arikara from North Dakota, the Native American tribe, represent the geographically closest population and holds data say to Kennewick man. Here's an Arikara. You can see how she looked. You can't find any black Indians in North Dakota today. You can't find any black Indians in much of the Midwest or the West, but as you can see, they were black in the day. You got to know you got to know how the original people were. You got to know who these original people were so you can understand what the European did, in a sense, to change our history and to destroy them. The Paleo-Americans carry the African M1 haplogroup. Haplogroups M and D, mtDNA, are the same as mtDNA A, carried by the Mandi people, West Africa. Here's Nair. And in the middle, we got a Mongoloid Native American. And then on the right-hand side, we have Lucia. The Mongoloid red men, they don't look nothing like the Paleo-Americans. In fact, the Mongoloid Indians, they don't show up in the archaeological record until around 6,000 years ago. That would be around 4,000 BC. Whereas we already know from the research of Dr. Winan in Brazil, you know, Africans have been here. The Paleo-Americans have been here for 100,000 years. See? Paleo-Americans and Mongoloid Americans are not the same. You know, the D haplogroup is nothing more than the African M haplogroup. The subclass D4 is the Asian name for the African M1 haplogroup. Yes, they give these various in a sense names for DNA. They change them around so that you won't be able to put it all together and say, oh, so those are really Africans. No, they want you to, oh, those are really Africans or black. No. They don't want you to think that. They want you to think that the red man was the original man here. He wasn't. That's why you need to know who the fathers of this country is. You need to know who the real Americans are. They wasn't the red man. See? Finally, Paleo-Americans are genetically and ethnically different from contemporary Native Americans. We call the red Indians Native Americans. The original Indians who were black, we call them Aboriginals. The Paleo-Americans were the first Americans. All the Paleo-Americans have been classified as part of the black variety. This includes Naia, and Pinon woman of Mexico, and Luzia, Brazil. The craniometric measurements of the Paleo-Americans skeletals fall within the black variety of Homo sapiens. And what is the black variety of Homo sapiens sapien? The African, the Australian, and the Melanesian. Yes, yes, yes. The original Americans were black, like you. The original Americans, in a sense, were black, like me. The original Paleo-Americans, the first Americans, were black, like us. Here's some of the references. Beverly, Robert History, Mascaroki, written off history. Clyde winners were not just Africans. Here's some more references. Godera, St. Louis once a mound, Sydney, Timothy, the 10 tribes of Israel. These are the references. I'm telling you, join my Patreon. You're going to find these slides in my Patreon. You're going to find all the references supporting what I discussed in this lecture tonight. If you want to learn more about ancient blacks in America, get David Imhotep's book, The First Americans Were Africans, expanded and revised. Yes, you can get my book, The Mandi in Ancient America and African Empires in Ancient America. Runoko Rashidi, when he talked about, he gave a lot of pictures, you know. He was a photojournalist, you see. By being a photojournalist, he just showed you, you know, the pictures of the people. But see, me, because of the fact that I'm an anthropologist, historian, and linguist, I don't just show the pictures, I show the how they got there. I show why they're there, you see, and how we know they're there, see. That's the difference between the research of David Imhotep, me, and maybe Runoko Rashidi. He was just a photojournalist. If you want to find other information, don't forget to get my book, History of Blacks in America, from Prehistory to 1877. You can get my book, We Are Not Just Africans, the Black Native Americans. In this book, I talk about many of the Aboriginal tribes, but this book is basically a discussion of the meetings between the Aboriginal blacks and the Sub-Saharan Africans. You know, how they began to join and become one group through ethnogenesis. Then you can get the Black Mound Builders of America that talks about the mound culture. And you definitely, every black home should have history and culture of the Black Aboriginal Americans. Everybody should have this book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals. This book tells the complete history of our people. In a sense, this book will explain to you how we got here. It'll show you the people who describe these Indians as blacks, phenotypically. I talk about the pyramids. I talk about how we've been discriminated against now when we go to some of these powwows or whatever, how they discriminate against us. I talk about how, in a sense, you know, they took away, you know, our legacy. They took away our heritage by giving the Red Indians our names, the names of our tribal names, you see. I explained how we got the names McCoy winners. I explained that we got the name McCoy winners because the Black Irish who were sent into chattel slavery between 1630 and 1660, over 400,000, yes, 400,000 Black Irishmen were sent into chattel slavery by Oliver Cromwell. These chattel slaves, they mated with Aboriginals on the plantations where they were picking cotton and other crops for the European farmers, and this is how, in a sense, many of the tribesmen recorded in the Dawes list have names like McCoy, Winters, Walker, stuff like that, because of the fact there was early mating between the Black Aboriginals and the Black Irish and Sub-Saharan Africans. That's how we got a lot of our names. You can get my book, Pathfinder. My book, Pathfinder, Clyde Winters in Search of the Roots of Afrocentrism, a memoir. This is my memoir. In this book, in a sense, I talk about how I became a researcher. You need to read this book so you can know the trials and tribulations of being an Afrocentric researcher. In Pathfinder, I explain how you should study Afrocentric history. It is a biohistoriographical book which discusses Afrocentrism from my perspective as an Afrocentric scholar. Pathfinder. You need that book. Get my book on researching other books. Of course, as I told you, Black History Gems Essays Volume 1. You'll find information on the Black Aboriginals. So check this out. Uh, you know, thank you. You know, and again, thank you guys for showing up. Because the thing is, this is that is that we have to understand that this is, who the real people were. You got to understand. You need to know the first Americans. The first Americans were not in a sense white. See, red men. The first Americans, they definitely weren't these white people, these pretendians. You see, and when you know who the first Americans were, what that does is that when you know who the first Americans was, that'll make you understand, why. That'll make you understand why, in a sense. Whenever I look at this video by Yoshi Mod, I mean, damn, it just in a sense shows our heritage. It shows our history.
I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die. What's the that you don't want me to say? I've been thinking I'm listen to me. Sometimes I feel like the late I made. On my grandmother was in the maid. You be behind it and let me astray. What is the truth that was going on with me? Don't be cool and just have a nice day. Some things are just easy to say. Wish I could stop me from breathing today. Don't have no food and they swimming on me. Out in the ocean away from the bay. I've been drifting a long far away. I went up in to keep them away. See what you see, but I just cannot stay. Force me to land and they want me to drain. Can't do the crime, don't suit me. Mine unfortunately. In my sorrow, so many follow, living in hollow, bringing the idol, listen to Carlo, living in borrow, living in borrow, living in Carlo, shooting a hollow, shooting a carno, about the carno, something now you look out in the eye, y'all know I'm seeing that is a pyramid, it is something good, that is a primitive. Deep in my ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time. I'm a genie, what a fiend, taking a fiend, how would they see me? Sleazy bikinis, and the weenies, wearing a beanie, from the bikini, changing the scenery, so many misery, so many lies to me, probably got you on TV, believe me, pulling your memories, killing the name, they never just admit that they got me, like I feel like I never been sloppy, what you see is nothing but copies, Sam cooked up in that lobby, Billie Holiday just with a body, George Clinton committed the robberies, it seems he went for the line, I'm feeling you all see. Glory to those who all see. Put the grass set up like Eddie Murphy. Your car crash, they just hating on me. Gotta make it come back like Bill Cosby. We Bryant playing conspiracy. Me back for the lighthouse cursing. Sipping up a curve, there's more laceration. It's damnation, no motivation. Straight elimination, your animation. Alienation, annihilation. All for the taking, taking like taking. Open bacon, impersonation. Good saving, change like Raven. Save me, David, had to shake 'em. Who's the brave one? How you craving? Even Jada, say them, feeling paving. Who we taking? Harry, make them misbehaving. We the brave before we drown in the water. Got a deep dive. I'm in the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die. I always want Step out of water, section is harder. Why do they bother? Go with my daughter, same boat, same thing, only in slaughter. Slipped up, chick, bro, same as a father. Justify life, should it be harder? For my nation, make things water. See how they come, all your fun. Force me to gun, respect to the sun. Live up the crumb, father, son. Faces beyond, live as one. Train the none, speak for the young. Nobody's dumb, maybe just showing they young. Maverick approach, swoop by Yojo. The kind will grow, just as the Ogo came off the old phone. E-I-E-I-O-E-O song. Training the wheel until it's all gone. Gotta go deeper. Die with the people, some turn lethal, neighbors is evil. Open the right, give up the pain, no human right, kill them on sight. Many this bad, many the way. I see that I'm there, I see that I'm here. Ready for plans, calling all bad. Genitals are here, we're the hills and not disappear. As hard as my chin, deep dive, on my ears. Shooting on baby hollow, and in they given time, my baby follow. I'm out the ocean and my baby hollow, and in they given time, my baby follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die clean.
This video is so deep. What makes this video so deep? Let me explain to you. What makes this video so deep is that he tells the history of foundational Black Americans. He shows in this video how we began as the Aboriginal nations, how we came together, how we were unified, how we tried in a sense to develop a rich culture. But then he also shows in a sense that over time, you know, through an ethnogenesis. Yes, an ethnogenesis. That's why he has the boats and he has the brother coming over in the boats, because it was through an ethnogenesis. And it was through this ethnogenesis that Aboriginal Black people, you know, the Black Irish and the Sub-Saharan Africans, how we made it on the plantation and we became this new people. And see, we became the new Egyptians. And how did we become the new Egyptians? Because we carried the intellect of the Aboriginal Blacks. We carry the intellect of the Black Irish and the Black Britons. They're the ones, remember, they're the ones who built London Bridge and the Tower of London and those castles and shit over there, You know, the Aboriginal Indians here, yes, we had stone pyramids. Yes, do you know we had stone pyramids? We had stone pyramids. That's how the European was able to build railroads from the north to the south, because they tore down our stone pyramids and used the stone and the earth the stone and the earth in our mounds and the stone in our pyramids to build their railroads. That's where they got, in a sense, the various lumber and stuff like that. Yes. That's why they didn't have to import it. They didn't have to go up north to get it. They just tore down they just used, in a sense, our pyramids. You got to get my book, The Black Aboriginals. You got to get my book, The History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals. And so then that's it. Then as I said, the Black Irish, they created, in a sense, all this beautiful, buildings and architecture. And then the Sub-Saharan Africans, our Sub-Saharan African brothers and sisters, when they brought them over here, they're the ones who taught the Americans about science. They taught the Americans, in a sense, how to grow rice and other crops. They taught the Americans, in a sense, how to use inoculation so they could get rid of, in a sense, smallpox. Smallpox was the killer, man. That's how the white man killed off so many Aboriginal Blacks with smallpox that you just can't believe it. But it was a brother from Africa that brought that technology over here. Yes. That's why today, and that's what makes that video so good. In the sense that Yoshi starts with us being the Aboriginals. Then, in a sense, he shows that through that amalgamation, that mixture, of our sub-Saharan African and in a sense our Black European heritage, how later, in a sense, we went through an ethnogenesis and we became a new people, and how today we dominate the world. Yes, we dominate the world. Our music dominates the world, and that's what Yoshi was doing. You guys gotta go and buy this. You can buy this video on Gumroad, but go to Yoshi Mod's site. Go to Yoshi Mod's site and look at this, because this video tells our story from being Aboriginal Americans to now the supermen. Yes, we're the new Egyptians. We run it. See, how you doing, Natty? What up, though? CRU Royalty had a very good question. CRU Royalty, he says, if out of Africa was 60,000 years ago, but 130,000 years ago, fossils were found in California, and they are oldest on the continent, and America has older pyramids. Maybe Africa's descent from America. No. You have to understand the sense that that's what they teach. No, they teach today. We know from the research that really that the first Africans left Africa 130,000 years ago. The evidence of this is the tools and the boats. We find a lot of tools that in a sense were taken from Africa into Europe, especially Crete, all the way to all the way to China. We found teeth in China where we know that it was a Homo sapiens. We know that in the sense that it was people in California. We know there was people there 130,000 years ago, and that would correspond to the expansion of Black people out of Africa 130,000 years ago. But the people in California was eating mastodon. We know that they were humans because we know that they were gnawing on the bone. Give me some mastodon meat. I want a mastodon steak. So no, this doesn't prove anything. And plus, the oldest pyramid is not in South America. The Cargo pyramid is not the oldest. The oldest pyramid is the Step pyramid. The Step pyramid was made 200 years. It's 200 years older. All you have to do is check, do a Google search. You're going to find that the pyramids in Egypt, the Step pyramid, is a couple hundred years older than the pyramid in South America. And again, we know now that there was an expansion out of Africa 130,000 years ago. In fact, I did a video on that. So look on one of my lives. I did a video on when we left Africa 130,000 years ago. So that evidence is wrong. This is it, family. I got a lot of good videos on the site, that deal with all aspects of Black history. Check these videos out. I hope that you'll check out the video that I did when we left Africa 130,000 years ago, so that you, in a sense, can get the actual information. That now that 60,000 years ago, that's only what they teach over here. But when you do the original research, when you read the latest literature, that's why. See, look, I would have been fooled too. I would have thought that Africans left Africa. The first out of Africa event was 60,000 years ago too. But luckily, I have my Patreon, and my Patreon, they support me, and I'm able to get the latest information, and often the latest information is behind a paywall. You may have to pay $50 to $100 or maybe more just to read an article, and I'm able to do that. And the reason I'm able to do that is because of my Patreon followers. Please, if you haven't done so yet, join my Patreon. Put a like on the video right now. Come on, put a like on this video and subscribe, you see. Okay, Natty says, even white racists have tried to present tangible evidence to prove humans didn't come from Africa for centuries. They have a little bit, but see, that's why you had to do, Natty. That's why you had to read the original research papers. When they publish these research papers in journals. And when you read in a sense the original research papers, you find out that it's a little bit different. That's why I had a brother who talked about the 130,000-year-old stuff. He didn't know that they're already pushing back the out of Africa event to even before 130,000 years ago. Remember the earliest anatomically modern humans, Homo sapiens. The oldest is 300,000 years. The oldest. And they're found in South Africa. Last week when I did my thing on the spread of Black people, I talked about some of these skeletal remains. Check out these videos. You guys don't even know that this website is a valuable resource. I got almost 400 videos on this site, and they discuss every aspect of the history of Black and African people. You need to check it out. Check out some of these videos. Don't just come here for my lives. Stick around. Look at some of my up to date stuff. Again, Natty is right. And Africa has the most diverse set of human genetics and types of animals and type of men. Like most of the time, everybody think we just all a big Negro. What I mean by that is they say, okay, we're all in a sense, we're all just all melodic. No, the archaeology shows that the original people who left Africa over at least 150 to 200,000 years ago were the Australian people. Then after the Australian people, around 44,000 BC, we find in a sense that the first people to migrate out of Africa into Europe, the so-called Cro-Magnon man, was the Khoisan. And the Khoisan people, they appear in the archaeological record around, 50 to 50,000 years ago. About 46,000 years ago, we see them migrating into Europe. Then around 25,000 years ago, we begin to see the Anu. The Anu, they're the Twa people, the so-called Pygmies people of central of the Congo and all that. These people ruled the world from around 25,000, from about 20,000, maybe 15,000 to around 4,000 BC. Then with the Great Flood, in a sense, what happened in a sense is after the Great Flood, many their civilization went underwater. Finally, the first thinking of the Anu civilization was during the Younger Dryas. Here's the thing: is it see how you already says Grand Negus? He said Nadi, maybe due to colonization. I mean, they call corn a gift from the gods, who naturally has corn. It doesn't matter. The word for corn, the word for corn among the Mexicans is a Mandi word for coin. So it didn't come from the gods. See how you already says I'm a North Dakota resident, so there is at least one. Yeah, I'm glad you're out west, baby. But I'm gonna tell you this: make sure you wear a baseball cap, so they won't scalp. Yeah. How you doing, Karen? Then say what up, though. Nadia, what's that? Not evidence, my friend. Plus, they had corn in Africa. You're basing your theory off most European sources. That's true, Natty, but get a brother a break. You have to understand that when you don't do the research, when you haven't read my books, you will not know the actual history. You will not know how long. Like, people don't even know that those people who built the pyramids, down in South America, they worship the same gods as the people in Axum. In fact, they had the same names for their gods. Get my books, The African Empires in Ancient America. You see, Van Sertima and Renoko, they talked about the Black contribution. If you give our book, The African Empires, you find out, no, it was not a contribution. These Black people built, in a sense, great empires. And these empires, in a sense, ruled those areas. Get my book. Find out about who built those pyramids down in South America, man. I got the stuff. Another good point, Nadia, is that plus the similar cultures, also the oldest boats are found so far are found in Africa. You're right. People, look at my video I did last week. Look at my video last week when I talked about the expansion of Black people, around the world. I talk about the boats. I talk about the lakes. I talk about the navigational skill that these people had. Natty, you're a fine student. Karen, you're so right. The colors in the video are so beautiful. Yes, Yoshi Mod outdid himself. Yoshi Mod made a beautiful video, and again, as I said, it begins with our Aboriginal ancestors, and then it moves from our Aboriginal ancestors all the way up to the modern times. He's telling our history. He's telling our history, a history that you're going to find in my book, The Culture and History, the History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals. Get my book, get it. You got to get this book. You got to get this book. This is a hardcover edition. This is a hardcover edition of this book. Look, this thing is over 400 pages. 400 pages of knowledge, you see? And on top of that, I got an index. Got an index so you can look up anything you want. Get this book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals, so you know our history. Every foundational Black American should have that book in their home, so they know our history. Dorvell says, 5,000 year Iceman had dark skin and a receding hairline. Yeah, he must was from the Caribbean. The new genome sequencing reveals details about Otzi's appearance and ancestry. Otzi's Y DNA belongs to a subclad of a haplogroup. He has one of them, but he's also R1, and they just want to, in a sense, play around you. But he was a Black person, But it seems as though somebody killed him. And they feel he was murdered. But good research, Dorvell. Dorvell is the genius. Dorvell is the genius who taught us that black does not just mean an adjective as a color, that Black means shining and brilliant. So when you're B1, you're not just Black first. When you're B1, you're brilliant first too. We're a brilliant people. We are a very brilliant people, Yoshima, this is a genius. Yoshima, Yoshi, you outdid yourself. I had to show your video. Since you're here, I'm gonna show it again. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Do. This is the history. It's the history of the Black man. We moved from the Aboriginal to the Superman we are today. Our musicians, our food, everything. This whole culture here, American culture, is based on us, baby. And Yoshi records it right here.
On my grandmother was in the main. Leave me behind and left me astray. What is the truth that was going on with me? Told me be cool and just have a nice day. Some things are just easy to say. Wish I could stop me from breathing a day. Don't have no food and they swimming on me. Out in the ocean away from the bay. I've been drifting a lot far away. I went up in to keep them away. See what you see, but I just cannot stay. For spinning lane and they won't in a drain. Came to the crown, they don't suit me. Mine unfortunately, check out my sorrow. Swimming in follow, sleeping in hollow. Bringing the idol, listen to Carlo. Living the borrow, living the borrow. Living in Carlo, shooting a hollow. Shooting a Carno. About the Carnos, and then now you look out in the eye. Y'all know I'm seeing that is a pyramid. That is something good. That is a primitive. I look at Mississippi, get the hook to the ring. Shoot the color quiz, that's what the mission is. We're gonna get it big. Music for feeling it. Tired of the silliness. I'm like I'm feeling this. Feeling we're killing this. Feeling like feeling this. Coming this message off of the shore until they get pissed. Deep in our mind, you're shooting my baby hollow. At any given time, my baby follow. I'm like the ocean and my baby hollow. At any given time, my baby follow. I'm like the ocean and my baby hollow. At any given time, my baby follow. I'm like the ocean and my baby hollow. At any given time, my baby follow. a genie, what a genie, taking a feenie. How would they see me? Sleazy bikinis, nothing but weenies. Wearing a beanie, from the bikini. Changing the scenery, changing the scenery. Show me your misery, so many lies of me. Probably got you on TV, believe me. Pulling your memories, killing the name. They never just admit that they got me. Back up, could have never been sloppy. What you see is nothing but copies. Listen, cooked up in that lobby. Billy Holiday just was a body. George Clinton committed the robberies. It seems he went for the lottery. This all falls in one category. We all calling it victory. I'm the villain you all see. Glory to those who all see. Put the grass set up like Eddie Murphy. Your car crash, they just hating on me. Gotta make it come back like Bill Cosby. Kobe Bryant playing conspiracy. Get me back for taking a knee. But they just be canning me. Like in my turban, hit my fervent. Like I was cursing, supernova curving. More laceration, starvation, no motivation. Straight elimination, your animation, alienation, annihilation. All for the taking, taking like taking. Open bacon, impersonation. Moving saving, change like Raven. Save me, David. Had to shake them, moving brave. I'm you craving. Even Jada save them. Feeling paving. Who we taking? Harry make them misbehaving. We the brave before we drown in the water. Got a deep dive. I'm in shooting my baby hollow. And they give it time. My baby follow. I'm out the ocean and my baby hollow. And they give it time. My baby follow. I'm out the ocean and my baby hollow. Any given time, my baby follow. I'm out the ocean and my baby hollow. Any given time, my baby follow. Everything I'm happy to stay. Always want to check that rain. I'm from the gate, from the bay. Created this place, live by the water. Section is harder. Why do they bother? Over my head, first like a daughter. Same old same thing, only a slaughter. With no chick, bro, same as a father. Just my life, should it be harder? Abomination, need these water. See how they come, all in one. Force me to go, force me to the sun. Live up the crumb, father, son. Best is beyond, live as one. Train the nuns, speak for the young. Nobody's dumb, maybe just showing the young. Maverick approach, with by your toe. Look how it will grow, just as it go. Came up the earth, E-I-E-I-O-E-O song. Training the wheel until it's all gone. Gotta go deeper, dive with the people. Certainly, neighbors is evil. Open the right, give up the pain. No human right, kill them on sight. Many is bad, many the way. I see that I'm there, I see that I'm here. Ready for flash, calling all bad. Chickens are here, we the illusion, not disappear. As hard as my chin, deep dive. By my illusion, and my baby hollow. And in any given time, my baby follow. I'm out the ocean, and my baby hollow. And in any given time, my baby follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die.
See, he could do this. He could make this video. This video gives our entire history. And he can make this video showing our ethnogenesis. And the reason that he can make this video showing our ethnogenesis is because he's blunt. Yes, this brother's blunt. A Yoshi.
Yeah. Yoshi. Yeah. And that's a NTR. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. Man. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. Man. You what I want. Open truth, then I hear. Tell me I'm wrong, I take the correction. Just set you free from obsession. Love and me, love the heat, hate the babe. Learn the street, they hate love the pain. All the music sounds the same. Entertain, not a game. You're to blame. I can never be that kind of way because we are different. So when you talk, it just don't make sense. That's why when you speak, I know also do my own research too. So you can't tell me any damn thing. I've been the Illuminati. They can't have my body. You probably be mad at me for what I'm saying. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad. I say what I feel. I say what I want. I say I feel. I say what I want. I am blunt.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you? That's from the genius Yoshi Mod. Yoshi Mod had made these videos. You guys got to go to his website. You got to go to Gumroad and buy his music. You got to get his music, man. You got to get his music because he is teaching you. He's telling us our whole history. In these videos, he's telling us how we became the supermen that we are today. We started as Aboriginal Americans. And then after we met up with the other folk, then we became, in a sense, the latest. We're the creators. We made this world. We made this world, baby. That's why the European, he don't know what to do. He don't know how to stop us. And Yoshi Mod, the genius, he's been able, in a sense, to put our entire history. He's been able, in a sense, to go through our ethnogenesis, to show where we came from, to show who we are. You see, look at what did Yoshi say? Yoshi says, no restrictions, no filter here, only the truth in our ear. We want the truth in here. We want the truth in our ear. Tell me I'm wrong. I'll make the correction. Something went wrong. No. Yoshi, you're not wrong, baby. You're not wrong. You're telling us what's good. You're telling us what we need to know. Yes, sirs. This man made a video of our ethnogenesis. What did Nadi say? I'm good, Yoshi. Getting some more teaching for the master teacher. Y'all got something great going on over here. You got that right, and we got the mastermind. We got the genius because he's blunt. We got the genius telling our story. He's telling our story in music. We don't have to wait for the European to tell us what to do. They can't tell us what to do. What did Yoshi tell us? Yoshi, what did he tell us? F the Illuminati. They can't have my body. Rhyme, baby. See what a rapper do. They can't have my body. Anyway. That's just the way it is, you see. That's the way it is. They can't have his body. They can't take him. F the Illuminati. They can't have my body. They can taste my shoddy. F the Illuminati. They can't be nobody. They can't clone my body. No! Yoshi! That's what we need. We need more of this good music. We need more of this music. What did Karen say? She said, I am blunt. Yes, you're blunt too, babe. I'm blunt. Yes. You got to be blunt. You got to be blunt. Sure. Yes. Nadi says, do you sell them? Nadi says, do you sell the tracks, Yoshi? Yeah, you go to his you can go to join his Patreon. You can join his Patreon and even hear more of his music. Yes, Yoshi Mod has a great Patreon. Go to his YouTube website. He also sells his music at Gumroad. You see, he sells his music at Gumroad. Go and look him up under Yoshimod. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming. As I said before, I wanted to share this with you. And the reason I had to share this with you is because the fact is that Yoshi in a sense has made it so clear. In his latest videos, he's making it so sure that he's taking it to another level. You see? Because we got to learn to be supportive. We got to support the ones who do the work. You guys got to support Yoshimod. Yes, you have to support the brother, because see, the thing is that the knowledge is there, but we need, in a sense, people to be supported, because if you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do.
If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Vampires, they prey on your future and they stay away. Vampires, they prey on your fears, control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them suck you. Control your atmosphere. I am you and control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them suck your energy. It's a distraction away from me. I am you and you are me. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Nobody but yourself. Don't follow. I said nobody but yourself. Don't follow. Nobody but yourself. Don't follow yourself. Nobody yourself. Nobody but yourself.
And saw all these great videos by Yoshimod. Yoshimod can do the same for you. Some of you guys got some family reunions coming up this summer. If you want to have a good presentation, if you want to have something that'll make your family reunion great, contact Yoshimod so that Yoshimod can do a video that you can have for your family reunion. It'll just excite everybody at the family reunion, and it'll be so unique. You got to contact Yoshimod. Let this man perform that service for you. Contact Yoshimod. Contact the brother. Let him do some work for you. Let him make your family reunion the best family reunion you guys ever had. And he can do this because this man has the ability. He's not called the genius Yoshimod for nothing. I want to thank you guys for showing up. And again, like I said, is that I normally do my show on Thursdays, but I couldn't help it. Yoshimod made that video. It just keeps sticking on my mind. It made me say that you guys need to know who the first Americans were. We talked about the Paleo Americans. The other brother he brought up about the migrating out of America 130,000 years ago. I got a video on that, so you guys check that out. And so that's not new. That's not new knowledge. I've already covered it because the thing is, this is that we are the original people. We are a great people. And the thing is, this is that the truth will set you free. Right now, put a like, press that like button before you forget. Subscribe so that you can know when I'm doing another video, because this is a shock video. And, and I did this tonight. But again, as I said, is that he's the man. He's got the creativity. He's got the ability. And the thing is this, is that I just love it. I just love it. I just love it. I just love it. And you guys, in a sense, you have to, in a sense, check him out. Go to his website. Join his Patreon. Join my Patreon too. Buy my books. Be supportive. Because see, we can only go as far as we can go with the help, because you have to support the people who do. Thank you for seeing you this evening. See you on Thursday. Good night.